picture this 1978, discos and platform shoes everywhere. But out at JFK Airport, something totally different is going down.
Yeah.
It's the middle of the night, and this gang, they pull off the biggest cash robbery in American history, like almost $6 million.
Wow.
Which today would be what, like $28 million?
That's crazy.
But this wasn't just any ordinary heist. This was a straight-up mafia operation. A story so wild it inspired movies like Goodfellas.
Oh, yeah.
So today we're going to take a deep dive into the Lufthansa heist.
Okay.
And we've got some awesome sources for this one. First up, a book called The Lufthansa Heist. Now, get this, it's actually co-written by the informant who helped bring down these mobsters.
Really?
Yeah, Henry Hill.
No way, the Henry.
Yeah, that Henry Hill.
Wow.
And we've also got this fascinating Time magazine article that breaks down the whole unbelievable story. So what's wild is that this whole crazy scheme, it all began with this seemingly regular shipping clerk, Louis Werner.
Okay.
And the guy was drowning in gambling debt.
Oh.
Yeah. He ended up owing a ton of money to someone connected with some real big names in the Lucchese crime family.
Oh, boy.
We're talking Henry Hill
Right.
and Jimmy Burke.
Yikes.
Now, the interesting thing here is that Louis wasn't actually a made man, just a associate,
And an associate.
caught
Yeah.
in the mob's web.
Right. So, like, these associates, they were often people with regular jobs, but somehow they got mixed up in this criminal world, either through debt or just because of what they did for a living.
Yeah, so Louis is desperate. He wants to avoid a meetup with Jimmy Burke's enforcer.
Oh.
This guy Spiky, known for his thumb-breaking techniques.
No.
So he spills the beans about these Lufthansa shipments.
Makes sense.
But these weren't just any shipments.
Right.
We're talking about millions of dollars in unmarked U.S. currency flown in all the way from Germany.
Wow.
It was money exchanged by tourists, military personnel.
Oh, interesting.
Basically, a system practically begging to be taken advantage of.
I see.
Now, you might be thinking, why in the world were they shipping millions of dollars in these flimsy cardboard boxes?
Yeah, good question.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. Well, back in the 70s, security measures for international currency exchange were shockingly lax.
Really?
I mean, just imagine that millions of dollars, basically unguarded,
wow.
just ripe for the taking.
Yeah, that sounds almost too easy.
Right. So we've got this desperate gambler, these ruthless mobsters.
Yep.
And a mountain of cash just sitting there.
A recipe for disaster.
Now, the heist itself was like something right out of Hollywood. This crew, led by Jimmy Burke,
Okay.
they cut through a chain-link fence, pistol-whipped a Lufthansa employee,
Oh, wow.
rounded up all the workers who were on their coffee break,
Oh, jeez.
and then forced the manager to open the vault at gunpoint.
I mean, you got to hand it to him. The planning was pretty impressive.
Right.
Timing the heist perfectly,
Yeah.
to take advantage of that coffee break,
It's smart.
minimizing any resistance.
Yeah.
They even had John Gotti, another notorious mobster.
Oh, wow. Ready to help ditch the getaway van.
So for a while, it seemed like they got away with it scot-free.
Yeah.
Vanished into the night with their millions.
Yeah.
But then our getaway driver, Stax, he makes a crucial mistake.
Oh.
He parks the van right in front of his girlfriend's apartment.
Oh, no.
And get this, right in front of a fire hydrant.
You're kidding.
It's unbelievable that such a small slip-up could unravel this whole meticulously planned heist. But that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
The FBI, they were already suspicious of an inside job,
Uh-huh.
and suddenly they had a direct link to the perpetrators.
Right.
And that rigid hierarchy of the mafia, the one we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
well, it turned out to be a double-edged sword.
How so?
It allowed for incredible efficiency,
Sure.
but it also gave the FBI a clear path to follow.
Oh, I see.
So the dominoes start falling fast.
Yeah.
Paranoia sets in, and Jimmy Burke, always thinking 10 steps ahead,
All right.
decides to eliminate any loose ends,
Oh, no.
anyone who could potentially rat him out.
That's chill.
It's a grim reminder of the brutal reality of the mafia,
Yeah.
Even a tiny connection to a crime could mean a death sentence.
Makes you think.
So Stax, he's the first to go, found shot in the head just days after the heist.
Jeez.
Then Martin, the wig salesman, vanishes.
What?
His dreams of a $500,000 payday end in a shallow grave.
That's awful.
And this is where Henry Hill, realizing he's next on the list, makes a life-changing decision. Fearing for his own life, he turns informant, agrees to testify against his former associates in exchange for witness protection.
Wow, what a turn of events. Hill's testimony It really sent shockwaves through that whole underworld.
Yeah.
Led to, like, dozens of convictions.
Wow.
And it basically crippled the Lusch's crime family.
Right.
It was a huge win for law enforcement,
Yeah.
but it definitely came at a cost.
Right.
So many lives were lost, families destroyed,
Of
but
course.
because of this greed for easy money.
It's a tough reminder of that human cost, with organized crime.
Yep.
And the ripple effects these actions can have.
Absolutely.
But there's this whole other layer to this story that I find even more fascinating.
What's that?
The missing millions.
Oh, right.
We're talking $28 million in cash and jewels
Yeah.
just gone, vanished.
It's crazy.
It's a mystery that still has true crime fans hooked.
For sure.
I mean, despite all the investigations and theories, none of the loot has ever been recovered.
It's wild.
Some people think it was laundered through all these shell companies and offshore accounts.
Right.
Basically disappeared into thin air.
Like it never existed.
So some of that Lufthansa money could still be out there somewhere.
It's possible.
Maybe even funding legitimate businesses,
It's a thought, isn't it?
like something right out of a movie.
It really highlights the lasting impact and reach of organized crime.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that sometimes the line between the underworld and the legitimate world can get really blurry.
I know the FBI followed a ton of leads trying to track down that money.
Yeah, I bet.
They even looked into those rumors about some of the cash being used to buy real estate in Florida.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that. And there were whispers, too, in the underworld, that some of the stolen jewels, they ended up in these fancy jewelry stores years later,
Really?
passed off as legit merchandise.
Wow, so it's like this giant puzzle with all these missing pieces.
Yeah, exactly.
Any idea why they were never able to crack the case?
Well, one big factor was that code of silence in the mafia.
Of course.
People were terrified of retaliation.
Understandably.
The consequences of talking could be deadly.
Yeah.
So it made it almost impossible for investigators to get any solid information.
Wow. It's just chilling, the power and influence they had.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go back to Henry Hill for a sec.
Okay.
I mean, his decision to turn informant, that was a huge risk.
Oh, absolutely.
What kind of protection did he get in exchange for his testimony?
So he entered the witness protection program.
Right.
It's super secretive, designed to protect informants from any kind of revenge.
Right.
He got a new identity, a new home, and a new location.
Wow.
His whole family was relocated, too.
So basically they had to disappear, start completely over.
Yeah, it was the only way to guarantee their safety.
I can't even imagine what that must have been like.
It's a huge adjustment.
Yeah.
Leaving everything behind, your friends, your connections, even your past.
Right.
But it was the only way.
It's a reminder that even within these criminal organizations,
Yeah.
there are people who choose to break free from that life,
Right.
even if it means putting everything on the line.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of courage to stand up to those kinds of forces, especially when it means giving up everything,
It's crazy to think about, after all that planning, all the risk, the violence, most of the loot just vanished.
Yeah, it really is.
Makes you wonder if somewhere out there, someone's living it up on a beach,
Right.
sipping margaritas, all thanks to those Lufthansa millions.
It's definitely a thought. This case, it really shows how organized crime leaves its mark. Not just the violence, but all the mysteries left behind.
For our listeners hooked on this story, and I bet there's a lot of you out there,
Oh, yeah.
what can they do to dig even deeper into this Lufthansa heist?
Well, first off, I'd say check out the episode notes for links to our sources.
Right.
You've got Henry Hill's book and that Time magazine article. They're both packed with details,
Yeah.
stuff we just couldn't cover here.
And for anyone who's more into visuals,
Right.
I'd suggest checking out the movie Goodfellas.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It takes some liberties,
Sure.
but it really captures the feel of that time
Definitely.
and the characters involved.
You'll see Henry Hill, Jimmy Burke, even a little bit of the Lufthansa heist itself.
So we've got this real-life story, wilder than fiction,
Yeah.
a mountain of missing money,
Uh-huh.
and characters straight out of a Scorsese film.
It's a powerful reminder. The allure of easy money can lead to some pretty bad things.
Right.
And that the world of organized crime, it's often hidden in secrecy and violence.
As you go about your day, I want you to think about this.
Okay.
Could some of that Lufthansa money be out there right now,
Mm.
woven into legitimate businesses?
It's a question worth pondering.
It really speaks to the lasting legacy of this crazy heist.
Knowledge is most valuable when you can use it.
Absolutely.
So as you dig deeper into this case, ask yourself, what can we learn from the Lufthansa heist?
Good question.
What does it tell us about human nature, the temptation of easy money, and the importance of being held accountable?
Until next time, keep
Yeah.
exploring, and remember, sometimes the most fascinating stuff is right there in front of us.